But let's get into that first story. We got a tweet here from NPR. More than 1,000 scientists and health professionals are calling on Spotify to crack down on COVID falsehoods being spread on Joe Rogan's podcast. The pressure highlights a trend. Podcasts are becoming influential sources of misinformation. I want to pull up the article, but I want to point out the framing technique they pulled off here from NPR. They didn't say being spread by Joe Rogan. They said on Joe Rogan's podcast. What they're saying is anybody who wants to interview someone who would say something out of line with the official establishment narrative must be stopped. It's not about Joe Rogan as an individual. It's about the fact that Joe would talk to someone who is considered persona non grata by the machine. Now that is a whole new level of creepy. If they were just saying Joe has bad ideas, well, then you could be like, well, you know, he's not the expert. He's the guy who interviews a lot of the experts. No. They're talking about the people he hosts and interviews. They don't like the fact that he gives people an opportunity to speak up. And I also want to point out the list was originally 270 people, and it turned out only 87 were actually practiced medicine. I guess technically you could say veterinarians practice medicine, and dentists do too, but some of them were like podcast hosts. Now the list has expanded. They say an open letter urging Spotify to crack down on COVID, blah, blah, blah. The medical and scientific experts slammed Rogan's track record of airing false claims. They go on to say the list has now expanded to 1,000 people. And you know what? So what? They're going after podcasts. They're mad that this is one of the last bastions of unfettered speech, though there have been podcasts that have been banned. Here they go. They did it to YouTube. They did that big adpocalypse campaign. The media smeared them relentlessly. Now they're going to go after all the big podcast platforms.
But this is crazy and just absolutely absurd. I remember seeing the 270 doctors that they first put out, and it was everywhere in the corporate media. And I was like, let me just take a look at this list. And I saw dentist, and I saw political professor, and I saw veterinarian, I saw students, I saw political scientists. And I'm like, wait, what? These people should be, number one, ashamed of themselves because they should be challenging these ideas, not trying to silence them. And I made a post about this, and it went all throughout Twitter, specifically saying these are not practicing medical doctors. Now there's 1,000 of them. I haven't checked the list, but I still remember being publicly attacked by a gynecologist on Twitter who was on that list, being like, he's calling me out. He's trying to, blur the lines here. He's trying to spread misinformation. No, we're not. You could counter the information. You don't have to silence it. And when you type in Joe Rogan into Google News right now, you get nothing but smear pieces, attack pieces that literally look like they almost come from the Chinese Cultural Revolution with doublespeak Orwellian language. Yahoo News has an article. The problem with Joe Rogan and white boys. The Independent. These experts say Joe Rogan is an extraordinary danger to society. Here's why. NPR, of course, has more blatant articles about online misinformation. Again, counter the data. Dr. Robert Malone has a lot of credentials. He listed his credentials. He is someone who was an extremely important part to this entire process that the world is going through with this larger experiment. Challenge his ideas. Don't take out his tongue, because when you do that, you prove him right.
Look at this one from NJ.com. The long list of things I will not be asking Joe Rogan for advice about. And it's got Fauci. He says, I've been an infectious disease expert for 50 years. And then Joe Rogan saying, I get kicked in the head for fun. Yeah, okay.
Not anymore. He quit kickboxing
and
because he didn't like getting hit.
But it's just so stupid. Anybody who's ever actually listened to his show know that he's an inquisitive guy who asks questions of experts. That's it. If they really wanted to play games, they could show Fauci, and then they could show Peter McCullough or Dr. Robert Malone. That would be really interesting. Fauci would be like, I'm a bureaucrat of the past 40 years, and Malone would be like, I invented mRNA vaccines. How about that one? But they shut down Malone.
Yeah, there's another thing about this, though, which is this is what happens to any new media. You remember the blogosphere? Do you guys remember the blogosphere?
I know the blogosphere.
Yeah, so this was like, it was a while. It was like in the early 2000s, all of these blogs were popping up and people were getting their news from blogs. And so you had mainstream media outlets, corporate media outlets slamming the blogosphere. Like I believe the press secretary at the White House actually used that term, saying, you can't trust these sources. These are terrible sources. That's exactly what they're doing now to podcasters. They don't like anyone that gets more popular than their own, corporate media outlets. That's why it's so important.
Wasn't PJ Media like pajamas media? Wasn't that the slam against the bloggers? Like they were just in their pajamas at home, and that's why you can't trust them.
Brian
and they could have embraced it.
Pants.
Right.
Yeah, literally.
I'm not
I
joking.
saw those
It's
photos.
real.
Those were terrifying.
I no longer
photos.
wear pajamas personally.
I cover late night TV, and late night TV gets so many facts wrong on such a consistent basis. Where are the lineup of doctors saying that Stephen Colbert is full of it? Where are they?
Did you see Colbert call for abolishing the Senate?
Yeah, that was weird.
He was like, "What's the point?" He's like, "The Democrats represent more people," and it's like, represent does not mean they agree with them. That's it's fascinating. They don't like their machine being challenged. That's the obvious point, but they're losing, and that's why I love the Joe Rogan subject matter, because Joe's winning and doesn't care. He doesn't. You know what's really funny? I feel like Joe's sitting on the throne of biggest podcast, doing his thing, and then mainstream media and us are like just down on the ground bickering to each other and complaining about it, and Joe just doesn't care.
How long will Spotify have his back, though? I think that's the big question.
What's 2 years?
I think that'll be it.
Average age of contracts, and then once it's up, they're going to be like, "Nah." But
They must be making a lot of money from him, though.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
The company was valued over $1 billion.
Right.
the
after he joined.
stock skyrocketed.
As soon as he came on the platform.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed because, I was like, when I knew that the shift was going to be happening, I was like, man, I should have bought all that Spotify stock, right? Because it just skyrocketed. I didn't even think about it, to be honest.
In reference to that, Stephen Colbert saying that we should abolish the Senate or whatever he was saying, it was weird because he was like, the Senate is the most anti-democratic thing. But what he doesn't seem to understand is we're not a democracy. We're a democratic republic. And the Senate is the essence of the republic.
Yes.
It's a stopgap for democratic mob mentality.
Stephen Colbert
Yes,
is
exactly.
Emperor Palpatine. That's giving him too much credit, though.
I'm
But not
saying
as
it's-
funny as the Emperor.
Right. It would have been funnier if when he called for abolishing the Senate, he just like his voice changed. You'll be dissolving the Galactic Senate. I mean, the Federal Republic Senate.
He's the jester. Klaus Schwab is the real Emperor Palpatine, in my opinion, with everything he's been pushing forward with the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset. But again, Joe Rogan is as popular as he is because he comes off as very genuine, very honest. He has conversations that a lot of people are afraid to even think about, and he entertains ideas in a way that's not forced upon you, in a way that is naturally understood and just talked about in a rational way, rather than, of course, PR corporate talking points. And that's why he is where he is right now. Let's admit that.
I think Joe represents like a regular person. Fauci
Yes.
does not.
Yeah.
No.
For
Yeah.
the longest time, there's been this conversation around like citizen journalists, and it's really funny because people don't know what it means. Citizen journalism referenced somebody would be walking their dog and then see something happen and then film it. And that's what it means. You're a citizen who happens to commit an act of journalism, but people who specifically try to engage in journalism are not citizen journalists. But the conversation around that was basically, why should we trust these individuals? And a lot of people said, well, look, the suit on TV talking to you as the authority doesn't work anymore. People have trust in themselves, and they want to talk to trusted people. They don't trust foreign, like outside of their life. I mean, establishment elites. They want a regular person they can feel like their neighbor who can talk to them. So Fauci represents the establishment elite of we're smarter than you and we know it. And Joe represents, hey man, don't listen to me. I'm an idiot, but I just got some questions.
But there was this great clip going around. I think James Lindsay shared it from the World Economic Forum in November. And it was this lady talking about how the elites all are banding together internationally and are working together to get their agenda across. But in each country individually, the lower classes don't trust the elites. And she was talking about this as though this is some big problem, that the rest of us don't trust our elites. We don't trust these people who are telling us what to do based on their own international conglomeration of, ideology and wealth. Hoarding.
Real quick, I hate the elites. Not every single person, it's not absolute, but just like Fauci and Biden and the Uniparty and Mitch McConnell's in there, these establishment, these ultra wealthy.
I'm dying to say something because they're literally calling themselves the
I love
elites.
that.
We're the elites. Our
You're the
pack
pleb.
got closer. We're a lot closer, but like everyone else doesn't like us. Gee, you wonder why? As of course we literally went through an entire situation. Why are you putting that madman in front of me?
Controlled opposition.
That dog torturer. I don't want to be seen with that man. But They are literally in a situation where they have profited off tremendously off of this entire pandemic. They have created a situation where the rich are becoming richer than they ever have before, and they wonder, why don't they trust us? And of course, their circle got tighter. And what's really surprising about the World Economic Forum, they literally put out all of their plans right in front of you. They write about it.
They
boast about it.
They said it straight out. They discussed the Great Reset in detail.
Exactly.
And then as soon as we all started writing about like, oh, y'all, have you seen this plan? This is this crazy plan. The fact checkers swooped in and it started saying that this wasn't actually real. And it's like, look at the damn documents. They were right there. They said it. They said it out loud.
Yeah, the corporate media is like, conspiracy theorists. These are crazy people making it up. And I'm like, and they literally just reverted New World Order into the Great Reset. That's exactly what it is. And let's be honest with it.
And they figured we'd all be such plebes that we wouldn't actually notice. We can't actually read.
They rebranded the New World Order and still put out all of their documents.
We're like the medieval Catholics who don't understand Latin. No, we know what it says.
They literally try to make you eat bugs. There's like short little videos that they put out on Twitter saying eating bugs is going to be great and save the world.
So check this out. On January 20th, I was on Twitter and the What's Happening page popped up with the Great Reset is the World Economic Forum's proposal for post-COVID economic recovery, Reuters and the BBC report. And I just screen grabbed it and put LOL. I thought it was funny. They keep trying to do this thing where they're like, the Great Reset, it's just this, it's just that. The funny thing is, it reminds me of when Hillary Clinton was campaigning and she put on a Southern drawl when she was, and like, she didn't realize the internet existed and that human beings talk to each other.
It's pretty old.
So what's fascinating about the Great Reset, the World Economic Forum, the Davos Group, is I feel like it's a bunch of 80-year-olds who are like, how are people finding out about our plan in the Great Reset? And it's like, have those social media just tell everyone what to believe. And then regular people look at it and go, yeah, that's BS. Like we're not cows, or you know what I mean? We don't just get told something and go, oh. But it really is it. When Hillary Clinton put on that Southern dialect because she thought she was going to trick people into thinking that she was from the South or whatever. I get it. She is, but she doesn't talk that way. She was a New York senator. Yeah. And then the video goes viral and everyone made fun of her and laughed. And then she was like, how did I lose?
It's hubris and elitist thinking that they're above everyone else and therefore they could get away with it. This is why the Pope, Trudeau, Macron, Biden, Kamala, all the world leaders have been saying the same thing. We need a great reset. We need to build back better. They slowly and calmly tell you that this is their plan openly, and you're deemed a conspiracy theorist for even bringing it up and talking about it when their plans are laid out and they're implementing it right in front of our eyes. There's no hiding it. It's right here.
Yeah, what they mean is we need to solidify our power.
Exactly.
That's what they mean.
I want to give them some credit. There's so little self-awareness in our culture these days. Calling themselves the elite,
yes.
I'm very impressed by that. That is cool. All right?
Someone referred to them as elitist. Was that you? I wasn't there, but they were like, based Tim calling him elitist and not elite. But I wasn't there if you said that.
But it was the video is actually really funny when this woman where was she at the World Economic Forum? And she's like the elites. She's like referring to herself in that way, and it's just like. There's one way not to endear yourself to regular people.
Then she opened up her blouse and there was an E on there.
It's like a Globo Gym from Dodgeball.
We're better than you.
We're better than you, and we know it.
It's like on
I saw a tweet from Clint Russell, Liberty Lockdown, Liberty Lockpot. If you'd stop referring to yourself as our elites, I'd hate you at least 10% less. And I was like, how bad could it be? It was worse than I thought it was going to be.
You know what's funny though? I feel like it's the children of the previous generation's elites. And they say that, wealth only lasts a few generations. So you end up with these like the robber barons and stuff. And then over time, they have kids who have kids. And now we have this global elite that are kind of like the inbred royalty who don't really know how to run a system.
Yeah.
So they've inherited all of this. They never earned it. They never fought for it. And it's like they're going through their own fourth turning. Where the great-grandchildren of these past billionaires and millionaires and powerful royals and politicos have no idea what they're doing, but they just know they're better than you. That's what they were told.
I think we have to really realize that nobody really knows what they're doing. I went to prep school with a lot of really smart people who have no idea what they're doing, and they're, running the country now.
That's terrifying.
What's the point of being here anyway, being a human? I still don't know.
That was a huge leap, Ian.
It's
like, there's problems with our country. Why am I alive?
I know survival is like part of it, but other than that, what's the point?
I mean, this is this is why a lot of people say that religion is very necessary to a culture, to a society, because there are a lot of people right now that have no purpose, and they're asking the same question you are, but they're being given answers by the elites who want to control and shape everything, and so they're telling them things. They're telling them crazy things, and then when these people go out and riot and burn things down, they're protected. So they found their meaning, they found their purpose. But the crazy thing about it, they have their purported purpose. With these Black Lives Matter groups or Antifa, we got to fight against oppression. And it's like, have you ever actually sat down and asked yourself, what's next? What's after that? What do you do? It's like these individuals are just a lost generation. And that's where the chaos is coming from. But it's being weaponized by the elites who want to dramatically reshape the planet.
I'm concerned about the kids wearing masks, talking about a lost generation, because if I'd been raised not seeing facial expression, that would have been a hard thing to navigate.
I know, and you're bad enough.
I know. Yeah. I'm already semi-weird.
But Ian, the elites want to party in a way where their servants are clearly marked and masked and represented by, of course, the face diapers that they wear. While, of course, the ruling elites get to have their galas and their lovely red carpets where they get to be free and not have to wear face diapers.
Well, Christian and I were just talking about this because both of us have, send our kids to school and the kids are fully masked.
And
That's
outdoors
crazy.
too. I have to actually tell my kid, I do this waving of the face as soon as I see him take the mask off,
Me
take the
too.
mask
Oh,
off. Adam Carolla has a theory about this. He says it's crate training. You're crate training the young kids to kind of obey.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to disagree with that. Give me something else because it's not
absolutely
science.
not.
When we get to school in the morning, I say to my son, like, yeah, you got to put your thing in. He's like, okay, time for my complicity covering. And we at least, we joke about it because I want him to know that it's stupid the whole time. I want him to fully be aware of how stupid it is every second that he's wearing it. As soon as he's done with school, I'm like, get that stupid thing off your face.
A couple days ago, I posted a meme of students that were told to be 6 feet apart. There was a police officer looking over them. They were outside with a mask, and then the tagline was like, "This is how you make someone a slave. This is how you raise someone not to think independently, how to literally act like they're in prisons." And that's what they're doing in schools. I would absolutely recommend for you guys to try to do anything you can. I mean, both of you guys are in New York City. You guys
No,
I'm in Denver, but same
Denver.
Same demographic, really.
But like, there's probably other families that feel like you that would want to create a homeschooling pod network that would actually help your kids so much more, because I feel so bad for these kids that have to go through this.
But you know what really bothers me is how, we used to see people from Southeast Asia, they wear masks when they're sick. And I'm like, I like that idea. Yeah. Like if you're sick and you know it and you have to go out and do stuff, like you wear a mask. Now what the problem I see is people aren't sick, but they're all just blindly doing this thing. And then what that creates is it polarizes. We have a hyperpolarization now where there are people who are overtly anti-mask. And I'm just like, yo, man, like if you get sick, you put a mask on. If you're not sick, and you don't, I guess, but we're struggling to have the nuanced conversations about what makes sense. Like anybody who questions the mandate, for instance, on vaccines is anti-vaxxer.
Right.
When like clearly everybody
crazy.
is pro-vaccine, except for like there's many people who aren't, but there are people who have specific questions about something specific. The nuance is stripped out of it, and I think it's on purpose.
Oh yeah,
they want to
too.
make you an extremist. You say, "Hey, this policy for kids is dumb." Well, then you're a dumb redneck anti-masker.
But here's the thing about making you an extremist, right? I mean, you have the Biden administration going after domestic terrorists, right? They made this their like a big Department of Justice thing. And when you look at what they're going after, they're saying that if you are anti-government or anti-authority, then you are some sort of extremist. These are the terms that are being used: anti-government, anti-authority, extremist. I saw a bunch of things that were like white supremacist, anti-government extremist. And it's like, what is this about? Okay, so white supremacy, that's bad. Sure, obviously. Anti-government? And so if you're opposed to the existing power structure, that makes you
George Washington,
some sort of extremist.
Remember Resist, which erupted in 2017?
Resist.
It was pretty cool and pretty mainstream.
For the whole, you had to resist everything the man said for 4 years, whether you look, and you weren't supposed to look into the policies. You weren't supposed to understand what was being proposed.
Last time I checked, he was in the government, I think.
Yes,
Brett
and
Trump
you were
was
just supposed to be entirely opposed.
You see that story about the guy who needed a kidney? And because he didn't get vaxxed, that they told him, like, guess you'll die. That was the craziest thing. I was just like, the lady on the phone, pure evil. like evil incarnate. You thought it was going to be like a giant demonic man with horns and a business suit being like, I am the Antichrist. No, it's the lady at the hospital who's like, I know you need a heart, but for reasons we don't care why, you decided not to get the vaccine, so you'll die now. It's like, lady, you're crazy.
Or that lady in Texas who the guy was recording saying, you don't qualify to take this vaccine. Sorry, not this vaccine. You don't qualify for this antibody treatment because of the race of ethnicity. And
then the media claimed it wasn't true.
That's
they were like,
true.
no one's being denied
that's
monoclonal
true in like
antibodies
half a
based on
dozen
race.
states.
Yeah.
And it was part of the FDA directive, I believe. One thing I loved was Maud Marin in New York. She was running for city council, but she recently posted on Twitter she was having some design work done in her house, and an architect showed up to her house and asked her to wear a mask. And Maud said, no, and you're fired. Get out of my house. We're done here. I wouldn't want that person working on my house either.
People have lost it, man. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.